Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Drop the Low. So today is episode 2, and I'm excited because we have an amazing guest who is not only a guest, but he's going to be here every episode. My amazing assistant friend, Jerry Arias.
You better roll that R.
Yeah, you know, Arias. So Jerry is everything in my life, okay? So Jerry's like my assistant. He helps me with Leo. He helps Leo with math. Like, he's just like my go-to guy. But also, he has been watching Basketball Wives since season 1 Miami. Wow. So Jerry knows everything Basketball Wives. He knows about the dynamics, the friendships, the everything. So today we will recap Basketball Wives, and we're going to have an open discussion about everything that's been going on. Okay? Because there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to talk about.
A lot. The first episode had me. Season 12.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Jerry.
He's like season
12.
So actually it's season 12 of LA, and then we had the 5 in Miami. So it is the show that keeps on giving. All right, so we're going to talk about, obviously the show premiered and we're now into episode 2. So we're going to discuss all things Basketball Wives. Sha, I feel like you got something to say.
I have nothing to say.
Okay.
Can I just tell you, the first episode had me on my edge of my chair because I was like, what's going to happen? Because everything was like happening so quickly and things were just getting thrown out there, like especially with the whole Jen and then new cast coming in. I was just like, I feel like this season is a season that we've been all waiting for since the Miami days.
It's
really?
Spicy.
So you being obviously a fan of the show for many years, like, because I feel a different energy this season. Like, you feel like people seem more excited and so into it based off of the clips and what they've seen. So do you feel like you're like, holy shit, I'm tuning in?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the cast. I feel like there's cast members now that we thought we will never see again. Mm-hmm. And then there's the regular cast that, they've been part of this franchise forever, like you. But I feel like with this new cast, it's giving.
It's giving. And I'll say this, regardless of what side of the fence we're on, I'm grateful when the cast brings it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm never a hater. I feel like somebody like Jackie's a low-key hater. If somebody comes in and they're shining a little bit more, I'm like, do the fucking thing. Right. I want you to come in. I want you to shoot. I want you to open up your life. I want you to have those clapbacks and one-liners. Like, I love that, So, and I celebrate it because I feel like every cast member that comes on, everybody plays a part. It's not just me because I've been here such a long time. Yeah. It's not just Jackie because she's been there such a long time. Every single person, it takes so much energy to film this show. So I'm always happy when they're doing good, and I know it's hard maybe coming into this shit and we're already like, oh, we're like the OGs, but I'm always happy when new people come in because I'm like, I want you to do great, Do you
ever feel like new cast members just walking into this feel intimidated by you?
I think sometimes, but I feel like when they get to know me outside of the show, and I try my best, and I know the producers may not always like this, but I try my best to establish a relationship outside of the show with the new cast members because I want them to trust the process in a sense because it is scary. Right. You're coming in, you're like with these bitches that been doing this for so long. And so I try to have conversations. Here's my number. If you have something you want me to promote, I'll promote it just to show them love because I know that this is not easy. It doesn't always go my way, but those are always my intentions on wanting to make this experience of shooting the show as easy as possible and that you can feel comfortable with the process because it's not easy.
Right. And I feel like as a cat, like me coming, like for example, if I was coming in as a new cast and you are like guiding me and making me comfortable, I'll feel like more like relaxed because at least, I have an OG telling me like, it's cool, relax, just be
Yeah.
yourself. I feel like that would be soothing for me.
Yeah. So once again, Shaniece, you are, I don't know what it is about you. I really don't. For many years, I don't know why you have been. Well, okay, so I kind of know. I do know that I'm gonna have cast members that will weaponize you against me, right? They know my triggers are my children. They know my children are my everything. You could say anything about whatever, but when it comes to my kids, that's really my trigger, right? So once again, you were brought up in this last episode. Jennifer brought you up, and there were I guess her rebuttal about me being concerned about her and her relationship from a loving standpoint is her rebuttal was, well, Shaniece she needs to worry about her daughter because her daughter had a baby by a felon. How do you feel about that? And are you surprised that you are being brought up for the 1,000th time?
So I will start by saying, to play devil's advocate, I think she used the term felon.
Yes.
Because you said it first about her man. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of reversed it and said it about, Blaze's dad. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where she was getting at. No, I'm not surprised. Even if she didn't say that, she's not exactly my cup of tea. I feel that Jennifer she's like a lost woman in her 50s. Like, yeah. And it's the second time that it's happened. And obviously she did it the first time around. And this is why I think she's so phony, because the first time around, she apologized, not taking accountability for her actions, but more so saying, hey, I'm sorry that you were being spoken about. So, and I was like, okay, and she had like these crocodile tears in her eyes, and it was okay. And then you did it again. So I just think, I don't have hate in my heart for Jennifer. If anything, I feel sorry for Jennifer that you had to stoop so low. And also at that time, like, I was fresh postpartum, like I was Blaze was like a month or 2 months old. And if anyone has ever been through pregnancies or postpartum, that it's a very sensitive time. Like everything is like high, like your nervous system is like on fire,
Right.
So I just feel that she's self-centered. I think she's selfish. And I don't see her worried about anybody other than herself. Like, I don't see Jennifer as a girl's girl. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also, it's one thing Jackie saying something about you, right? Because Jackie doesn't know you. Or any of the other girls. Like, they've never shared space with you like that. They don't know you since you were, you met Jennifer when you were like 7 years old? Like, you were so
6.
young.
Yes.
You were 6 years old. Like,
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel like, okay, so I'm going to give you some context. So even somebody like a Tammy and I, we've had so many arguments, and it's gotten bad.
Yeah.
And we would drag each other. Mm-hmm. And, things would get super nasty. But although things would get nasty between us, and I've never shared space with her daughters like that. I would never talk about those beautiful daughters of hers just to weaponize them against her. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a fucking thought in my mind to say this about your kid. Even now with Jackie, Chantel, I would never do that, because I feel like those are your kids. They have nothing to do with this show, the situation, the fact that we're filming. So it's even more, it's always been more hurtful to me that out of all people, she's done that to you, because she's shared so much space with you, you know, as a kid, you know. So that why to me, I'm like, okay, out of all these bitches, you should be the last one even bringing her up.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean by selfish and self-centered.
Yep.
She didn't like what you were saying about her man, so then she kind of just threw it back at me. Except it would be better if she threw it back at you, because I didn't have anything, once again, to do with the situation.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised that you, or especially Jay, were going to be weaponized against me.
Oh, yeah.
I knew, like, this
Yeah.
season coming in and your pregnancy being the top of conversation online because of who you chose to have a child with, I knew that they were going to weaponize this against me. Again, I didn't think it would be her because she did apologize to you at my pop-up shop where she was like, I'm sorry that your name has been brought up several times. It's not fair to you, because anyone that knows you knows that you mind your business. You know, you don't really give a fuck about none of this in reality,
Yeah.
in real life. You really don't. So the fact that it came back around and the person that weaponized the father of your child, Jay, the game, and you against me, I was a little surprised that it came from her, being that she did apologize to you, you know?
Yeah.
If Shaniece is ever brought up on the show, and now obviously, you know, Jay, I call him Jay all the time because people are probably like, who's Jay? But Jay's the game.
But even for him, he has nothing to do with anything basketball-wise.
Nothing.
You know?
Nothing. And for me to text you guys right after that scene and say, hey, it's always hurtful to me because I feel like the people that I love and care about get thrown in the fire because I'm on this platform, you know? So I'm like, great. Now I have to text her and let him know, hey, you guys were like brought up and this was the context. Mind you, his rebuttal is always funny.
Yeah.
Okay. He, at some point we will hear what he had to say, but, yeah, I mean, I guess and mind you, at the time, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know his fucking history. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He's not a felon. But yeah.
Well, I was just like, just for a split second, I was like, wait, did I miss something? You know,
Right.
is he a felon too?
Right.
But no, and I definitely think this one hit home a little bit more because now you're at that time speaking about my relationship and the family that I think that I'm creating, you know, so... And I just don't think it's nice to discuss people who aren't present to defend themselves. You
Right.
only said that because no one was there to defend themselves. And, you know, why I think Jennifer's so phony and will have always, she's always been a phony, because it's like in one room she's one person, in another room she's another person.
1,000%.
And I see right through it. It's like in one room she's so tough, right? Like she's about that life. And then in another room she's a church mouse. So I'm like, which one are you? Because you come across as a coward.
Right. Well, you saw that recently there was a premiere party, right? And it gets me to thinking, before the premiere party, I saw her the day before, and we did press. It was me, Jackie, and her. And granted, we weren't like ace boon coons and we weren't like chummy, but I'm like, I'm going to show up to this press tour and I'm going to do what I need to do because I want the show to do well.
Right.
I didn't overly engage with them, but the energy was light. It wasn't super
So
uncomfortable.
it was like cordial, like you guys were just doing
Yeah.
your job.
And then she does
Yeah.
that.
I was, because Jackie took over the Basketball Wives page, so I happened to go on IG, and then I seen that part when she was talking about you, about like, you know, why are you giving your opinion since you never had like any relationship really charm? Like I was just like, Jen, Evelyn's just trying to be your friend. And I feel like as a friend, especially if you're so outspoken like you are, I feel like people take that as like you're hating because you always have an opinion about something. But for me, I take it like you're just trying to be my girl.
When I saw the clip of her going so hard on me, it obviously, I wanted to fucking go on social media and blast her fucking ass, right?
Rip her a new
But
one.
then I said to myself, just pause for a second, you know, really think about this. I never tried to give advice. You know, I never said, hey, you should do this because this worked for me. I never tried to give advice. My stance on it from the beginning is I have known Jennifer for over 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay. There are things that I experienced with her pre-Basketball Wives that she knows that I know, that she's been attracting scammers from before this was a thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to talk shit about her, but so she dated Eric, right? She was married to Eric. We all saw what happened that season, right? Eric treated her like shit. And there are a lot of things that happen in that relationship that I feel bad for her that she experienced certain things, right? He threw the drink in her face and the world got to see that, right? Boom. She breaks up with him and then she starts dating Tim, okay? Tim from Sweetie Pies. And she starts dating Tim Thicky Thighs, fucking Norman from Sweetie Pies. She wanted to marry him and he ends up in jail because he got his nephew killed.
Right.
Okay, so now his ass is in jail. After that, she starts dating another guy that's a scammer, right?
Stole her Range Rover, right?
He stole her Range Rover. She does a whole fucking documentary about that. In the interim of all of this, there was another guy that scammed her that the world don't know about, but she knows I know about it. You understand? So I've lived certain situations with her where I'm like, one thing about Jennifer, she continues to repeat the cycle. God continues to send you the same fucking person over and over again, and until you learn whatever that lesson is supposed to be, you know? And she wants to be married and she wants to have a relationship so bad, no matter at what cost. She wanted to marry Tim, you know, and no matter what, I want to be a wife. I want to be a wife, you know, and she's willing to take just the title without really having in your life a great person. He's probably a great partner to her, right? I'm talking about a great person as far as who you are as a person and your character.
Right.
And obviously we're seeing on this episode all of the things that he allegedly has going on, you know? So I never tried to give advice. I would never try to give advice. But I also feel like I've experienced so much in relationships that I could see red flags. And I want what's best for her. I feel like even you say she's a coward, I feel like she's above all this bullshit, you know? Go ahead.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate again, because I'm not taking anyone's side. But what about when you were with Chad and she tried to speak to you as a friend and, you know, show you those red flags?
Right. So when which is great because a lot of people brought this up during the episode, and obviously I got upset during that time. So her concern with Chad at the time was he's a media whore. He's just doing the most, right? She's going on interviews talking about my now fiance, soon to be husband, publicly, which I had an issue with because I'm like, you're my best friend. We're best friends. Like, this is like my girl at this time. Why are you doing interviews saying these negative things about him? Mind you, you're mad and you're off him because he's a media whore. This scenario is so much different, right? You're with a person, you decided to marry a person that all these things are coming out and all these victims continue to come out because even from the episode airing, these victims are fucking pissed. Okay, they want their money and they are saying he traded whatever he had. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs because something is there. Like there's a RICO case. These victims are not going to file a lawsuit in a RICO case if it's some bullshit.
Right.
The FBI is not going to be involved if it's some bullshit. I feel like it is a little different because she didn't feel like Chad was being detrimental to my life and that I could end up in a lot of trouble because of this. People are now looking to Jennifer because they're like, oh, okay, well, now you're legally married to him. I'm going to come after your motherfucking ass because we want what's owed to us, you know? So I feel like that's what the difference is, you know, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And I think the thing with Jennifer is that you try to shed light. Not tried, you did. You came in full force. And she did not want to talk about it, though, Mom.
Right. But does she not want to talk about it because you really don't think that this person is doing this? Or do you not want to talk about it because you're in denial and you want to be married so bad and you're like, fuck it, I had this documentary, and you know when you kind of gone for somebody so hard that you're like, fuck it, I got to stick to it at this point.
She might as well know and is not telling us that she knows, but obviously she's going to defend her love.
Right.
Like if I was, sorry, but like if I was married or in a relationship, I'm never going to publicly say my husband is wrong. Behind closed doors, I will, like out of respect for him. Now, I wouldn't be defending him the way, you know, she is, like blindly or stupidly. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're in a relationship, you kind of, you know, say certain things behind closed doors, but publicly, you're not going to air him out and be like, yep.
Yeah, I felt like in that episode she was uncomfortable, and I feel like maybe she knows some truth behind closed doors.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not talking about it. And you're like,
were you surprised?
$1,500.
Well, because then I'm more connected to this situation of the trading because of Carl's cousin. Like, when she reached out to my sister, she didn't even reach out to me. She had reached out to my sister like, hey, I'm trying to get my money back, you know? And yes, we keep hearing there's a $1,500 fee, which is his personal fee that he takes. And then the next step is you're supposed to fund these accounts for him to then take that money in trade.
Yeah.
After she paid the $1,500, she had questions before she funded the accounts, which a lot of these victims funded, right? You have the woman that is on disability that funded her account of $30,000, right? She didn't ask questions. She was just like, okay, cool. I can invest these $30,000 and make 1.5 million. Cool. I don't know who would believe this, but you have people that believe this, right? So Kiki started asking questions after the 1,500, and he wasn't responding or whatever happened. So she never funded the account. A lot of these victims allegedly funded these accounts, and then that money was taken. There was no proof that this was being the money was being traded. And why are you laughing?
Because Jennifer doesn't give a rat's ass about any of that.
No.
I'm sorry. Jennifer cares about her little dog. She cares about traveling to Paris. She cares about her outfits. She wants to be a kept woman. Jennifer does not care whether it be true or false in her eyes about that woman's $1,500.
I agree.
She just cares about brands.
She does not care. I think she just cares about herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people are like that. I think, like I said, I think she's self-centered. It's a strong lack of depth, and she does not care about what money her man's stealing, as long as it's in her pocket.
Right.
Evelyn, were you surprised with the response she had when you brought up Christian?
No, I'm not surprised because, first of all, I never wanted to have an opinion. I never fucking wanted to have an opinion. That's why they set me up on the reunion with the hot mic moment, because all that season when Brooke was on, I didn't want to have an opinion.
Right.
There were things that she said in scenes that made us uncomfortable as women. We were like, there was one scene with Giselle where it came up that why he had did time for. And we were kind of like, well, what did he do? What happened? Why? What's the false imprisonment? Like, what is the story behind that? And she starts telling us the story. Oh, just the crazy girlfriend. She's just crazy. and whatever, like it was toxic. And then she made a comment and said that his attorney said that it would have been better. This isn't a scene with Brooke Bailey sitting there. It would have been better if the victim got in the car and died in a car crash. Okay? Mind you, we all know Brooke's story with her child.
Right.
So we're like, well, what happened with this case? We come to find out that, and I also read some of the transcripts because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He had an ex-girlfriend. He locked her on the balcony. Okay. I guess left. They were beefing. There was some drama. She decides to jump off of the balcony. The girl ends up with a broken back, a rod in her back, and broken ankles. Okay. In the transcript, it says that the neighbors reported domestic violence in that apartment. So the reason why she jumped off, think about if somebody jumps, if you're a abuser or the man that you're having whatever drama with or whatever locks you on a balcony, you got to be scared as fuck to say, I'm going to jump off this motherfucking balcony versus wait for somebody or for him to come back. You don't want him to come back.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to jump off this fucking balcony because I'm scared of this person.
Yeah, you just want to get out of there.
And you want to get out of there. So that season, Jennifer was like commenting on that situation. Why would you even say what the attorney said? You should never discuss that. You fucking weren't there.
Right.
You weren't there. The only two people that were there were Christian and that victim. Obviously, he was guilty of some shit because he was guilty and he did time for it. You understand? So there was stuff that happened that season that even still, I was like, I'm not going to say anything because she was so gung-ho on marrying this guy. You don't want to bust somebody's bubble. You're like, fuck it, bitch. You love him. I love it. You know, whatever. I'm not going to be judgmental about what his past was because I believe that abusers can change.
Yeah.
You know, but there were things that were going on that we were like, okay, and I chose to shut the fuck up. Jennifer has chosen to turn a blind eye because she wants to have the latest Balenciaga bag or the latest Hermes. Bitch, we're not the same.
No.
We're not the same. I'd rather live in a fucking studio apartment, I swear to God, with no bags, no nothing. As long as I have food on the table, as long as I got my kids every weekend, my grandson, my family. I don't give a fuck about none of that.
And be surrounded with genuine love.
Genuine. Know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but yes, I'm very, like, I know because I pay attention.
No, you do.
Since you've known Jennifer for 25 years, do you think that between that, your guys' life has changed?
From 25 years ago to now? Oh.
She's been the same person for 25 years.
Me?
No, Jennifer.
Oh, I'm like, girl.
I'm like, give her some credit.
The problem is now you grow older and you should be the same person. No, I don't know her personally, but
yeah.
I mean, from the outside looking in, looks the same to me.
Yeah, I think we're two totally different people.
You want to know what my favorite clip is? Sidebar.
What?
Like Miami. Do you remember Basketball Wives Miami?
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, Jennifer. And she's like, okay. Do you know that clip?
That was fun. Those were fun times. But again, during that time.
Those were the funniest and most memorable moments of your guys' friendship.
Yeah.
For sure. But during that time when I'm like, Jennifer, fuck this security guard.
Yeah.
We are vibrating at the same level. You know, like we are living similar lives. We're kind of into similar things. I'm not that person. I'm just not. You know, even when we were doing press, I'm sitting there. I called you after. I said, I left there feeling like I'm so grateful, and not saying that I'm perfect because that's not what I'm saying, but I'm so grateful that I'm who I am today as a woman and as a person because I'm not the same person that I was 25 years ago. I'm not the same person that I was when we were running around in Miami, you know? And I'm glad that my life has evolved so much. And a lot of it has to do with my kids. A lot of it has to do with my family. You know, Jennifer doesn't have a sense of family like that. You look at her now, and I've always felt bad for her, even pre-Christian.
Yeah.
She doesn't really have family like that. Like my grounding is with my sister, and I get emotional, but my grounding, my family is everything to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything. Fuck TV, fuck all of this. I find so much comfort and peace with being with my family. My sister comes in town, that's my bitch.
Yeah.
She has a sister. You never see her with her sister. Where are your nieces? You're never with your nieces, you know? So, and I want that for her. And I know that she feels like she has a sense of family with Christians people, but that's not your village.
No.
They're always going to have his back.
Right.
They're always going to have his back.
Like if shit hits the fan, they're gonna take his side
all the
and
time.
leave you alone.
All the time, you know?
I actually have a question for you.
Oh, gosh.
So do you feel like because that there's been so many years invested into this friendship, like you keep trying? Like, for instance, when she spoke about me the first time, she came over to this house afterwards, which I thought was very questionable. Like, why?
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do because of the show.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do because of the show. We're filming a show together, and, you know, you kind of have to resolve things at the speed of lightning, you know, because you're filming a show together. I'm like, okay, I need to make peace with this situation, which in real life I wouldn't make peace with because I'm never going to see your motherfucking ass again, you know? But when you're filming a show, you're kind of forced to coexist with each other. And I don't always want to be vibrating in a space of arguing and fighting with this person, you know? And it was hard for me to even allow her to come into what my space is with you guys, because this is my safe space, you know? So, but it has a lot to do with Basketball Wives.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she came to the house and you knew what she was saying about Shaw, did you feel like you were letting your daughter down?
Of course. Of course. It's uncomfortable. I didn't even want to tell her she was here because I'm loyal to my daughter to the death of me.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, till nobody could ever fuck with my kid like that. You understand? But because it's a job, you know, and you got to kind of fold and you got to kind of, you know, work certain things out because you're filming a show, you know. But of course, I had a conscience about it and I felt bad because I felt like I was betraying her.
Yeah.
And I'm never gonna fucking betray her. Like, I gave birth to her,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really, at the end of the day, people look at it as reality TV, but it's our job,
Right. It's your job.
you know. Yeah.
How is your experience, or how was your experience filming Basketball Wives?
Like in its full, you know what's funny? I've been filming Basketball Wives off and on since I was in high school.
Right.
Like I think my very first boyfriend was on there. Cringe.
Who was that?
Wait, is that when?
Saying it.
Oh,
In Miami, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I've been filming off and on since high school. And it's funny. I think people feel like they know me, or they still feel like I'm the girl that's in some of the seasons.
Right.
Like sometimes people mistaken me for or maybe it's how you act too. I'm not going to use the term overbearing. That has like a negative connotation, but like your mama bear. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I think people see that and they think that I'm younger or I'm the same person that I was on the show. But I guess throughout the years I have, you know, shifted and changed. And we just spoken about this, that, you know, this whole time I was filming as her daughter a lot of the times. But now I feel like I'm venturing off into my own identity as
yes.
self. Although it took a little bit longer than I should have, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, and like I said earlier, I know I said, you know, what I said about Jennifer. I firmly believe that as her characteristics.
yeah.
But no, I don't, like, she's spoken about me. It's all good. Like, I don't hate the woman. I don't wish Jennifer bad. I feel if Jennifer wants to be happy in her fairy tale land as a kept woman, then go ahead and do that.
Right.
You know, I feel to each his own. And I think that your heart was in the right place, as it always is. It just got translated into many, you know, different ways. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
that makes sense. I think, again, I would have never had an opinion if it wasn't because of the hot mic, you know, and I knew leaving there, we would be in the space that we're in today. That's why I texted her that day to say, hey, let me explain what that was. So then we could have a discussion about it privately outside of shooting, the show, producers, friends, all of that.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we always say the end of the day, but I want what's best for her.
Yeah.
You know, are we ever going to be friends? Not really. I say not really because there's still the show part of it. If Basketball Wives was canceled tomorrow, I would never have a relationship with her. Because we don't, you know, but I wish her, I wish her greatness. I really, really do. You know, I really want, regardless of whatever, I want her to be happy. I feel like all of us deserve to have a happy, healthy relationship. And, you know, when you're shooting the show and it airs, it kind of gets lost in translation because it's what it is. You know, people have their opinions, but to the core of my being, because even if I didn't know her for 20 years, you want someone else to do amazing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you want that person to be happy. And I want her to find her happy. You know, I do. So it's just, yeah, it's just
It's
what
just
it
taking
is.
her some time.
It's taking her some time. It's taking her some time, you know. And again, she said she's probably happy.
Yeah.
You know.
I think whatever he got going on, she's happy with it. So
You gotta allow people to live their lives how they want
live your
to.
lives.
Yeah.
And like I said, your heart was in the right place. You were being a good friend. After a while, if it's falling on deaf ears, it's just not worth it.
I have one more question for you.
Sure.
So when the whole Brittney Renner thing, when you apologized to her, how did you feel about that?
By the way, wow, you're such a grown up.
We're so proud of you.
I was like, whoa. She said, I'm sorry. And that was it.
No, because this is the thing. I have always, from the first season that Brittney came on the show, I was the main person, like, genuinely excited that she was coming. You know, I followed her on Instagram. I'm like, ooh, she's spicy. She's outspoken. I always thought she was funny. So I was happy about that. Obviously, whatever happened that season happened. The
Yeah.
wig snatching, you know, so things get a little sticky, icky. But then she does the Revolt interview, and then she basically said we're all miserable bitches, which I talked about in the episode, right? And I'm like, dang, bitch, how I end up in this?
She compared you guys to cockroaches.
Yeah, she said we were all cockroaches, and I'm like, I never had an issue with you. So
Right.
I was a little taken back by that, you know? And then by the time I get to do Jason Lee interview, we talked about her, the show, the interview, and I was like, well, my experience with her shooting Basketball Wives, and I basically said it wasn't, she wasn't very professional. You know, if we're shooting a scene, me, her, and Shawnee, and you just don't show up, that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, you have a scheduled shoot and you're supposed to show up. You just don't say, fuck it, I'm not going to show up today. Like, so that was my thing with her. So she came in riled up, and I was again excited that she was on another season. So when she came in with her energy so thick, I'm like, what the fuck?
I was very surprised that she was so offended by you calling her unprofessional. But then she wanted you to swallow the whole fact that she called you miserable, a bitch, and compare you to a cockroach. Like,
Yeah.
the one that was supposed to be offended and, you know, coming in with that energy should have been you.
It should have been me. And I accept. So when she said those things, that we were cockroaches, miserable bitches, I chalked it up because I know the show could be hard to shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that could have been her perception during shooting, because it's her first season of shooting. She's getting into it with Brooke. You know how hard that was, me navigating that shit?
Yeah.
I fucks with Brooke. I love Brooke to death. And I'm really friends with Brooke. So I'm like, this new girl's on the show. There's all this drama, but I like her, and just trying to balance that bullshit, you know? So I just felt like at that point, I'm like, girl, let me be the mature woman. If you were offended by what I said, which she received, she was like, they didn't play a lot of it, but she did say, you know what, you're right. I wasn't very professional.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she,
wow.
And she was like, I got it. And she hugged me. And they showed the hug.
Yeah.
But she knew that she wasn't. I didn't say a lie. I'm not saying anything that's not true.
Right.
So, you'll see as the season goes on what happens with that. But I've always liked her when, I never had an issue with her. I never did. So
I don't think you have an issue with anybody.
I really don't.
I don't think so.
I don't have an issue. I'm never one to start. I swear, I never want to start. I always end up in some shit. But like, I'm never one to like start fucking with you.
No.
For no reason. I'm just not. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I really want to be the OG that sits back and don't. I want to see you bitches fight.
So the new cast member Denise, how do you feel about her?
You know what? I'm like, I'm thinking about where we're at in time with it. I actually like Denise.
Okay.
Denise, I think she's beautiful. I'll say this. I shared space with Denise briefly during shooting outside of some of the other people on the show. I don't want to say too much. We're giving the show away. But I don't mind Denise. I feel like Denise is kind of finding her voice a little bit. Our kids go to the same school. I think she's a great mom. So yeah, but as time goes on, you'll see what happens with Denise.
Okay, so we will definitely see more of who she is.
Yes,
okay.
For sure. You'll definitely see more of who she is. And we'll circle back with this conversation, and then I'll ask you guys questions about what you think about Denise.
Okay. I'm excited to answer that.
In the very first episode with, we're meeting Chantel, who I absolutely love, and Jackie, her relationship. So there was this thing between our relationship, mother and daughter, and Jackie and Chantel's. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong, but in the first episode with Jackie and Chantel, the energy between them, it came across, and I know that this isn't Chantel, it's just the way that the episode is cut up and how you see it. Like, she comes across a little bit like irritated with her mom off rip, which I felt bad a little bit because obviously we know the story of Jackie and Chantel. So what do you think about that?
I think Chantel, first of all, I had told Chantel from the beginning, you are a breath of fresh air. Chantel came onto the show being real, authentic. I think she's amazing. I knew you would like her, and she's such a good person. I think Chantel is up hoping that as the episodes air, people will see where she's coming from, but she's not just some spoiled rich girl that fucking dad played basketball. She's really a hurt little girl inside, but I love her so much. I actually saw her today at interviews. I gave her such a hug. Like, I fuck with her because she's a great person.
You know what, Sha? I actually did feel that watching the first episode. I feel like she holds a lot of resentment towards her mom.
Yeah, and I think because Jackie's been doing this, like you said, for so many years, and she knows how to manipulate her actions for it to work for her, that it just comes across like Chantel's irritated for no reason.
Right.
Like, you don't even know where the irritation comes from. Just opening episode, she's irritated.
Yeah.
Right.
Jackie's trying to hold her grandchild, Chantel's irritated.
Yeah.
And that always scares me about filming because you don't have any control over what something looks like, or if you mean to say something one way and it's, being translated another way. So you cleared that up nicely for Chantel. I wanted you to do that because, I felt for her.
Yeah, me too. Because even I think she knows that her mom is very problematic.
Yeah.
Because even when she got up to go and talk to Brittney after the first encounter you guys had, that Brittney walked away, and then Jackie gets up, and then Chantel's like, don't go and instigate anything out there,
Yeah.
I think she kind of knows that her mom is always trying to just stir the pot.
She definitely held her mom accountable every time we filmed with her. I think it was probably the first time we saw Jackie kind of, okay, like, it's kind of like mom's in the room in a sense. But I also think that she knows that Chantel knows all of her secrets. Chantel knows Jackie better than all of us.
Right.
Because I feel like she gets away with a lot because she's funny, she's kooky,
Yeah.
all these things. No, the bitch, there's a lot there, you know? So hopefully as the episodes go on, the world is like, okay, I get it, you know? So, but that was a good recap. Well, we will be every week recapping the episodes of Basketball Wives. There's so much to unpack. There's so much that happened this season. Did y'all see the super teaser? It's like, it's crazy. So definitely tune in every week. We're excited.
Yeah, and buckle up. Buckle up, because there's going to be a season.
Buckle up. It is a season. I knew this season. That's why I said I'm going to drop the load, because I said I got to drop this podcast at the same time Basketball Wives airs, because it is the first season in a long time. And not to shade any other season where I'm like, this shit is good.
Yeah.
So tune in every week.